Hey everyone. Okay, so welcome to Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. It's been a minute, right? It's been a minute because we have been going through all the holidays. We've got the new year. I don't know about y'all, but like the first sunset of the new year here in Hawaii was amazing. It was absolutely stunning, totally gorgeous. And I think that was auspicious. And then my husband and I just had like a teletherapy appointment yesterday and we got like really vulnerable with each other, and then we gave each other a hug, and right when we hugged, a fucking whale breached, and I was like, this is so auspicious, this is awesome. A whale breach like right outside the window, not like 20 feet from us, but we could see it in the distance. It was so awesome. So I am wishing all of you an amazing 2022. Okay. So, whoa, my fan got really loud there. All right. So, what's up? Today we are going to talk about the sneaky little lies we tell ourselves. Do you know which ones I'm talking about? Probably not, because they're sneaky, right? So, listen, like, I have found that as I own my shit on deeper and deeper levels, because if you have a feeling like, oh, I'll like be a finished product one day, that's not how it works out. Like, we have these lifelong lessons that we're learning. It's like this kind of spiral that we go up, and then we maybe revisit some of the same themes, but at a new level, in a new way, with a new perspective, with new skills and all of that. But as I kind of revisit my vulnerability, which you may or may not know is my word of the year, if you didn't listen to the, what was it, episode 84 of the podcast. So vulnerabilities, my word of the year. One of the things is like stepping even deeper into speaking our truth, right? Because oftentimes we protect ourselves from rejection. We protect ourselves from having to step into our truth and what that means with how we're going to be called to show up in the world by not speaking our truth. And, I did an episode on I've done an episode on gossiping. I've done an episode on like lies, like in general, like lies that we tell other people. This is about sort of the ways that we just subtly don't own our truth, right? Which is a subtle lie to ourselves. And therefore, we're not owning our authentic selves, and we're not showing up in the world. And the reason why I want to tell you about this today is a couple of things. One is, when we address these sneaky little lies that we tell ourselves, it brings us closer to our authentic truth, gives voice to our authentic truth, and it helps us find our people. How many of you like walk around life and you're like, I don't feel like I belong? So we try to fit in. Oh, well, what's everyone else going to be wearing? What would somebody else say about that movie? We kind of scan the room. What's the vibe here, right? And it becomes a distraction from our truth, right? Okay, so I've got notes here because there's a lot of shit here. Let me tell my kid be quiet for a minute. Hey, Maya, I need you to do something a little more quiet, okay? Thanks. She's like standing right outside of my booth, like trying to get my attention by dancing and singing, which is like normally awesome. Okay, so one of the sneaky ways that we do this is by the phrase, I'll try. How many of you have said that? It's like, hey, can you come to my show on Thursday? Oh yeah, I'll try. I'll totally try to make it. Bye. Right? Or, hey, it's really hard for me when you leave the house messy. Do you think you could work on that? Yeah, I'll try. Right? Or like when we make requests of people, anytime they say, I'll try, right? So we say, I'll try. They say, I'll try. But what do we really mean when we're saying, I'll try? Right? We're usually saying we're not sure if we want to or not, that we don't know what we want. We're usually saying we don't want to, but we're too chicken shit to tell you that, right? but we're not speaking our truth about what we want when we say, I'll try. And it really pisses us off when other people do it, if you think about it. Like, do you really believe someone when they're like, I'll try? You kind of know that there's no commitment there when they say, I'll try, right? Like Yoda, do or do not, there is no try, because there's no commitment when you say, I'll try, right? Like, we don't like it if we have a partner and we agree to be in a monogamous relationship and they're like, I'll try. You're like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Or you're getting on a plane and the pilot's like, welcome on board. I'm going to try to fly the plane really well today, right? It's like, you're like, let me out of here. I'm fucking outie, right? You're like, let me off. So, when I hear my clients say, I'll try. Like, I'm like, all right, like what do you want to do? Well, I'll try to do this and this and this. And it's like, look, what can you commit to? Let's not fuck around with I'll try, because we can just dance around that all day. What can you commit to? And not just try, but do, right? So when we are saying I'll try, it means there's a lack of commitment and we are lying to ourselves and to other people about our truth. We either can say, I don't know if I can make it or not, or I don't think I'll make it, or I don't want to go, right? I can't decide. Just say that. I'll try is a kind of back end way to avoid commitment. Okay. All right. So, whoop. Where'd y'all go? Oh, there it is. Okay, awesome. I was like, I can't see you. I can't see you. Okay. Next, the other way that we lie to ourselves is I can't. So we say, I can't. Oh, can you come to my show tonight? Oh, I can't. I'm so sorry. Good luck, right? So when we say I can't because I have other shit going on, is that really true? What do y'all think? I'm looking in the, yeah. Oh, hey, Pam. Hey, Leah. Yeah. So Kim is saying, I think it's true sometimes, because sometimes I'm actually busy. Okay, great. So let's unpack that, right? Look, you might be like, yeah, Anna, totally true. I'm too busy. But most of the time, the reality is that if you really wanted to, you can make it happen. Right? So like, if I'm like super busy and someone's like, oh, can you go do this? And I'm like, no, I'm too busy. But then someone came and said, Oprah wants you on in like 6 hours. Get on the plane. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Sorry, y'all can't make it. Like, get on that plane and go. Unless, of course, it was against my integrity to do so. Like if it was a big commitment to someone, right? But when we say we're busy, it's usually underlying that is, well, I don't want to do that enough to cancel my other shit, right? So I'm not saying you need to say that to the other person. Oh, I don't want to go see your show enough to like cancel my other shit. But we can just say what is happening versus I can't, because you could if you really wanted to, right? Of course, there are times where we can't. I've got a funeral. I am at my best friend's wedding or whatever. But like, usually it's a little lie we tell ourselves that we can't. And what we really mean is that we don't really want to, right? Or and this is when we also like over explain. Oh, I can't because blah, 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 blah. Like I remember one time I was telling an ex of mine, and context, he was a privileged white male, and this is important in the context. So I'm like trying to decline an invitation to be on a committee, right, at this university. And I am writing this whole like, no, I can't do it, blah, 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 and like giving all these explanations, and I'm spinning it around and I'm writing the email and rewriting it and all this stuff. And then I show it to him and I'm like, hey, what do you think? And reads it and he looks at it and then he goes, why don't you just say no? Wow, I can do that? I can just say no. Not I can't because of all this and that, but just say like, no. Like, basically, I don't want to, right? And why do I have to feel like I have to explain everything, right? And so here's why though. Here's part of why we tell these sneaky little lies, okay? Part of why we tell these sneaky little lies is because, especially if you were socialized as a woman, and this is where the context of this comes in. If you were socialized as a woman, you were taught that your worth was based on how other people thought about you, how other people evaluated you, how other people validated your worth, right? We were told that our worth is, do people like us? Do we have a partner committed to us? Are we part of an important squad, right? That'll take care of us. There's an evolutionary component. There's a socializing component, right? And so as a result, we think, I need to not speak my truth in order to protect someone else's feelings, not to be kind, but because we feel an obligation that we should be uncomfortable more so than someone else. And not from a place of compassion and love and all that, but from a place of being socialized that our feelings don't matter. And that our preferences and wants and desires don't matter. So this isn't about like being selfish, right? This is about speaking your truth, and that can come from a place of kindness and compassion, right? So, you know, of course it makes sense that this person who'd been socialized completely differently would just be like, I don't understand why you don't just say no. And it's like, well, that wasn't really taught to me. We've been taught to try to not say no, first of all. And then if we do have to say no, to do it so gently and to kind of dance around it. And heaven forbid we make the other person uncomfortable, right? But who's responsible for feelings? Somebody else? No, we are, right? We are ourselves are responsible for our own feelings and not other people's. So if someone else is offended by you speaking your truth from a loving and compassionate place, which can also be assertive if needed at times, that's their shit, not yours to own. Okay? Okay, so it's important. We don't need to be like bitchy when we do this. We can be assertive, we can be strong, we can do whatever. But if the result of that is awkwardness and discomfort for the other person, that's okay, they'll survive. And this is the other part of what I mean about like speaking your truth and finding your people. If like, do you want to be friends with people who don't want to know your true opinion, who don't want you to speak your truth, who want you to walk on eggshells around them so that they never have to see their truth? Not me, y'all. And okay, so another thing that we do is we should all over ourselves, right? Like, ooh, I shouldn't have this second glass of wine. Oh, I really shouldn't have done that. And then like, ooh, I really shouldn't have sex with that person, but I'm going to. Or I really shouldn't sleep in because I got shit to do, but I'm gonna hit the snooze button anyway, right? So we should all over ourselves, right? But what we're saying, but like we're dancing around and escaping saying what we actually want in the moment. And instead of saying what we want, I really want to sleep in. We're just repeating an old story to ourselves that we're not paying any attention to. It's like a waste, it's a distraction. Like, I really shouldn't have this third glass of wine. What does that have to do with anything? Decide. Do you want it or not? Don't talk about if you should or shouldn't. Decide if you want it, decide if you don't, right? Decide to have the second like slice of cheesecake or not. Decide if you're going to do something or not. Decide. And same thing with I try. I'll try, right? Decide. Are you going to do it or not? And if you're going to do it, put it on the calendar. Take some action. Get that shit out there, right? the last thing I want to mention is when we say things like, that's not really my thing, or I'm not really the type to do that or be that or believe that or have that, right? That's just who I am. Oh, I'm the messy type. I'm unorganized. My mind's all over the place. I cannot plan. I'm not the type to plan ahead or use a calendar, right? Oh, I'm not adventurous. I'm not the outdoorsy type. Is that really true? Right? What's up with that? We're putting ourselves into boxes. But what we're really saying is, I don't want to do that. Or I really want to do that, but I'm a little scared. Like I really want to go paragliding, but I'm scared. Like we can say that instead of that's not, it's not my type. Right? And so why don't we just say that? Well, look, if we say that, we have to own it, right? We have to accept that it's a choice we're making, right? I think that's the crux right there, right? Is if we believe we're a certain type, then we don't have to accept that we're choosing to do it or not, right? To have a preference or not. And it feels safer, but it's not our whole truth, right? So what this is, we are indecisive. We don't commit. We don't own our authentic selves, right? Super disempowered place to be, by the way, right? Where we're not owning our truth, where we feel like we're just a type, this very fixed type, right? And so how do you do this like in a non-bitchy way? Well, instead of saying like, I can't, you can say, I really want to stay home and take care of myself tonight instead, right? I'm really excited for you to do that. That's awesome. But I'm going to decline because I want to spend time with my partner tonight. Like, why explore? Why is that so hard sometimes for us just to say, right? And maybe it is awkward at first, especially if you normally like people please a ton, right? But it's necessary to giving voice and to finding our people, right? So we understand why. I go more into it in the pod, like why we do this shit. It feels safer is the take home, right? And so we think it protects us from rejection and all that. But when we don't speak our truth because we're trying to be polite or good, right? The good wife, the good partner, the good lover, the good sister, the good friend, all of that. It sends a message to ourselves that what we want doesn't matter, right? Our needs, our preferences, our desires aren't worthy of making someone else uncomfortable. So instead, we're like, I'll be the uncomfortable one. I mean, how many of us have done that? Yeah. Yeah. People are like, me, yep. Right. And this may sound overly dramatic, right? But every time we do that, like a little part of our authentic selves, like it feels like a part of us dies. I mean, really, it's not, it's still there, but it's like, feels like it's shriveling away, right? And we want to stay connected to our authentic selves, to be aligned with how we want to show up in the world, right? Now, if we want to start cultivating our ZG, that Tibetan word for radiant inner confidence that I love, we need to be willing to be authentic and speak our truth. Because otherwise we will never believe that we are worthy of our own experience of this one precious life. And we will never believe that people love the real us, right? And this is where I want to talk about fitting in versus belonging. We can fit in. Like I was really good at fitting in, right? And parts of that were very authentic. I loved so many different kinds of people. I love new ideas. I love exploring new things. I was like slow to judge, so I could get along with a lot of people. But I also would just morph into what I thought they would like and want, instead of just like, well, who am I? And I can kind of move and dance between these groups without losing this core part of myself, right? So I thought, oh, I'm a chameleon and I just changed my outside to be more relatable. But before I really tapped into my authenticity, I was morphing my inside. Like sometimes I'd rather go home and read a book instead of smoke weed with like my friends, right? But then I would be a chameleon, but not just be more relatable, but I would like compromise what I really wanted. Sometimes I just wanted to wear sweats instead of something sexy. Sometimes I wanted to wear a dress instead of look like a hardcore rock climber. Like, right? And as I slowly stepped into that, what I found was, yeah, maybe when I was fitting in all the time, I was super relatable and people always really liked me. But when I started becoming more authentic and giving my true self a voice, there were people that didn't like me. There were people that downright hated me, but I found where I belonged. I found where I could show up, and I still could traverse a lot of different groups, but I found where I belonged, those people with whom I belonged with, right? So like people that like the fact that I can like speak so directly, because that way they don't have to worry if I'm like, oh my gosh, hold on, I think oh, the poor Instagram people. They were like, we dropped you. Hey, Instagram people, sorry you got dropped for Wake the Fuck Up Wednesday. I will repost the full video here, okay? But, you know, when we try to not fit in and instead belong, yeah, we're gonna like weed out people that don't want to know our truth, right? But we will find where we belong. Like in my instance, people that can accept I'm a direct communicator, because when I am directly communicating how I feel all the time, people don't have to read my mind and wonder if I'm pissed off or wonder any of that, right? It's like, hey, if I'm upset, I'll tell you. And if all is good, it's all good. People that can understand how I can have a deep meditation practice and love to dance all night sometimes, right? I mean, people think I'm on ecstasy when I dance, totally sober. And how I can like love to fly fish or love to party or whatever. And people who appreciate that when I see them, I'm not just like, hey, how's the weather? It's like, hey, let's fucking drop straight in and talk about really important things like the impermanence of this life and death, right? Those are the people with whom I belong. And when I try to fit in, those people can't find me. Can you see that? So when you're trying to just fit in with people, those people aren't going to see the real you, the people with whom you belong. But when you stop trying to fit in everywhere you go and live your authentic self, the people with whom you belong are going to come to you like fucking magnets, like moth to a light, right? They're going to come to you. And so we want to cultivate our truth and speaking our truth so that we can bring these people into our lives and attract them, and to give voice to our true authenticity so that we can then create a life based on our truth and live in alignment with that, right? Cultivate that ZG, that inner radiant confidence, okay? So notice today, do you say, I'll try, I can't, I should or shouldn't, or that's just not me, or some iterations of that, right? And don't get judgy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just notice and then ask yourself, what's the underlying truth of that? And explore how you can start expressing that, okay? Because you deserve to not just fit in, you deserve to belong, and you deserve to live life in your authenticity and in alignment, okay? All right, my friends, look, so if you want to do this, dive deep into this work for 6 months. We just opened the applications for the Adventure Mastermind. Head to adventuremastermind.com. 6 months, only 6 people. Y'all, you're never going to find a group coaching program that's that small and intimate. We're keeping it that way to be COVID safe, but also because of COVID, oops, let me turn that off. Because of COVID, We had a smaller group this past time. And even if things improve, I just loved having the smaller group. So we're going to keep it small and intimate. And I would love for you to join. Okay. All right, my friends, adventuremastermind.com. We have 2 retreats, one in Hawaii, one on the Big Island. It's going to be amazing. Okay. All right, y'all. Take care. Bye. Yeah, you're welcome, Lori. Right on. Yeah, Ren. Exactly. Should can be sneaky. You're welcome, Lisa. Bye, everyone. Totally. Bye, Kristen. Yes, apply now. Right on. Zena's saying this hits really close to home. Your podcasts are life-changing. Time to focus ourselves, self-love, self-care, forgiving ourselves. Thank you for being the motivation and inspiration. You're welcome, Zena. Thank you for coming. You're welcome, Rhoda. You're welcome, Michelle. Bye.